Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So last night Republicans went out there, I guess I should say conservatives, because technically you could say it's a nonpartisan race, but nonetheless so was Wisconsin's Supreme Court race back in 2023. A lot of these court races are, and Democrats have been doing very well in them. But last night in Georgia, you saw the conservative candidate go out there and win the statewide election by 10 percentage points. Finally, the special election crowd is real silent because you have a lot of people that are saying, well, look at these special elections that I'm going to cherry pick out of the, 50 special elections that we've had this year. And, Republicans are underperforming in some of them. They're not even underperforming in like the average of them, which is ironic, but they underperform in some of them. They'll cherry pick them and say, well, this is proof that Republicans are finished and that Biden's going to win. Well, no, apparently not, because we see what happens here. And these are basically referendums on abortion, these court races. They've been. That's why Republicans fell short in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. But last night in Georgia, south of the Mason-Dixon line, where it's a little bit less of a pressing issue, and Democrats really in the Sun Belt can't really use abortion to their advantage as a political weapon that they can use in some other places in the country, it backfired. This is a race where the conservative candidate wasn't necessarily outspent, but he didn't really outspend his opponent either, and he's also never really been elected to office. Technically, he was appointed, but his name recognition in an electoral sense would not have really been that high to begin with, but still, he went out there and won. And for the people that want to say, well, these down-ballot primaries happened the same day, but, there was no real correlation between these primaries happening more on one side than the other. It's not like one side had a reason to turn out more so than the other that would weigh it up. But still, either way, this is good news for conservatives or Republicans in a sense. They hold the Supreme Court in Georgia. And not only that, they won a statewide election in Georgia by 10 points. I think it just shows that when you have lower propensity voter turnout in some places more so than others, it benefits one side more than the other. And that's why even in places like Fulton County, Georgia, inner city Atlanta, Andrew Pinson, the conservative judge, was getting around 40% of the vote. And you see that there. So either way, good news. Finally, a special election where Republicans or conservatives go out there and win. That's unheard of, but it happens more than you'd think. It's just not talked about enough. But you see that, a statewide election taking place in a swing state, a Biden state technically. We want to be technical about it, but no, Republicans are in a very good position in Georgia. The polls are looking good in Georgia. They're looking good in North Carolina. Even in the governor's race in North Carolina, Mark Robinson, new poll came out today, liberal poll, shows him down by just one. You have Texas is looking good. Florida, obviously those two states not all that competitive. Arizona and Nevada looking extraordinarily good for Donald Trump. Now the question is, can we get some polls out of New Mexico? Now, I'm not saying Trump's going to win it, but I want to see where it's at. Are we seeing continued shifts? Because if you see shifts in Texas to the right, Arizona, Nevada, you would say maybe there's something in New Mexico. I'm not saying Trump's going to win it, but it would be interesting to at least put it on the map of states that are somewhat in play, make Biden play defense the way that he's playing defense now in Virginia, of all places. So there's that. But either way, not really a good past 24 hours for Joe Biden and the Democrats. You look at the fact that he may not make the ballot in the state of Ohio. Now, this is not like the Colorado case. This is not necessarily interference. They always have a deadline set for candidates to be certified to appear on the ballot. Now, they did a workaround in Alabama for it. They're really struggling to get one done in Ohio, but still, Biden, in terms of appearing on the ballot in November, as of now, he's not appearing on the ballot. You're seeing that. He is not meeting the qualifications, and this is kind of an issue. I think they'll find a workaround, but still, could you imagine if Biden doesn't make the ballot because of his own incompetency, because the DNC is not willing to move up the DNC? They want it as close to the election as possible for the greater electoral impact of it, obviously. We know. But if they're not going to move it up, they basically cede Ohio to Donald Trump, which obviously would give Trump an edge in the popular vote. I mean, Biden still's probably going to get around 30 to 40% of the state writing him in, but also in terms of the Senate race, you're going to probably see less turnout on the Democrat side. The down ballot effects are not going to quite be there for Sherrod Brown. And obviously, I think he's cooked either way. I think he's going to lose, but I think that his chances of winning completely go down from maybe 20, 30% right now to the DOA territory. So we'll see if they, go out there and get this fixed. I think they probably will through some court measure. I don't think they want the optics of it to, come back to bite Republicans or whatever, at least how, they're thinking of it. We'll see what happens. But either way, him not meeting the deadline, that's on him. This is not like Colorado or Maine where they're saying, we're going to arbitrarily take him off the ballot. No, they give the deadlines out. They're not meeting the deadline. You could say, well, maybe they should do a workaround to put him on the ballot, but still meet the deadline. It's kind of comes down to the personal responsibility past a certain point, and they're not willing to do that, which is very telling. But not only that, not only are you seeing Biden maybe not making the ballot in Ohio, Donald Trump's number one political adversary in the Republican primary, one could argue, at least past Iowa, Nikki Haley, has announced finally, after, 2.5 months of deliberation and just waiting to see what possibly could happen in the Trump trial. I think everybody now knows that a conviction is not as likely as it was from the onset of the trial. And if he gets convicted at this point, it's just going to make him into a martyr, and he's going to benefit from that. But you look at Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley now is coming out and saying she's going to vote for Trump. Now, I'm not going to sit here and praise Nikki Haley for doing something that she pledged to do. There's no reason to say anything positive about Nikki Haley for any reason. However, I will say that this move in and of itself is a negative move for Biden because he wanted Haley to either run third party, he wanted Haley to endorse him or at least, not endorse Trump. In 2020, Biden got a lot of these Republican defectors because Blumph bad, but now you're not quite seeing that. You're not seeing that in this stage in the ballgame. A lot of those same people, I'm not saying they're endorsing Trump, but they're not endorsing Biden. He got people like John Bolton, John Kasich, you name it. He's not getting the same roster of people that he had back then. A lot of those people are not endorsing Trump, and I think it's a good thing they're not endorsing Trump, but still, he wanted somebody with, some pull, like a Nikki Haley who got, maybe 10 to 15% of registered Republicans to vote for her in the primary, but no, apparently not. Apparently, Biden is not going to get the Haley endorsement. Haley is endorsing Trump, and I think that it's mainly because she knows that there's no path for her at a contested convention because Trump is not going to likely be convicted, and the case has become so ridiculous. It always was, but now everybody knows that it's become so ridiculous that if Trump gets convicted, people are going to want to side with him even more, if anything. So it's not looking good for Biden or these never Trump factions in the GOP that want to stop Trump and want to side with Biden this cycle. There really isn't that I voted for Trump twice, but now I'm voting for Biden type of voter. The only voter that I could really pinpoint would be somebody upset about 1/6, but I can't even imagine that 1% of two-time Trump voters have defected, especially for that reason in and of itself. So you look at it, Trump's got the momentum. It just comes down to turnout. That's all this election comes down to. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, the special election or this state Supreme Court election in Georgia is really going to tell us much. It's not. It doesn't tell us much for November. Maybe you could say abortion is not as effectively used as a political weapon in the South. I'll agree with that. Or you could say that a lot of black voters are disillusioned with voting in general this election cycle, which doesn't look good for Biden. You could probably deduce that, but we already could tell that from primary turnout. We didn't need this election to confirm it. But if anything, you have a lot of people that will say, oh, these elections with less turnout than this are so definitive. I'm not saying this election's definitive, but I will say that it's funny that you have people on the other side that will make that same claim when it benefits them. But apparently special elections only matter when Democrats win them. That's all we've learned. But on top of that, it does come down to turnout. If you look at this where the other side doesn't turn out, but Republicans have that edge, Republicans are going to be in a much, much better position to go out there and win. And that kind of is the overarching theme of this election. We need our base, but not just our base, but our voter base, Trump's 2020 voter base. They need to come out in full force again. If Trump gets 75 million votes again, I guarantee you he's going to win because turnout overall is going to be lower. Not only that, Biden is not going to maintain at his level. He's not going to get 80 to 81 million votes again. There's no way around it. He might get 70. But if he gets 70 and Trump gets 70, that means Trump likely is going to win in the Electoral College. So every state needs to chase ballots, get this thing done. That's how we win this election, or we're not going to have a country anymore. So that's why it's important for people to get out and vote so we can get this thing done. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.